The test performer stands with the dominant side toward the wall and feet flat on the floor. Holding a piece of chalk in the dominant hand, reaches as high as possible and makes a mark on the wall. Jump as high as possible and make another mark at the height of the jump. A tape measure is used to measure the distance between the two chalk marks. 35-meter sprint purpose. The purpose of this test is to determine acceleration, maximum running speed and speed endurance, depending on the distance run. This runner should be stationary prior to starting. The person timing should stand at the finish line with one arm held high, and call ED followed by a sweep down their arm quickly to start. The subject do not call out though due to the time delay in the subject hearing the call. As the arm sweeps down, the curl-up test measures abdominal strength and endurance, which is important in back support and core stability. The student begins by lying on their back, knees bent at approximately 140 degrees, feet flat on the floor, legs slightly apart, arms straight and parallel to the trunk with palms of hands resting on the mat. The fingers are stretched out and the head is in contact with the mat. The measuring strip is placed on the mat under the student's legs so that their fingertips are just resting on the nearest edge of the measuring strip. The feet cannot be held or rest against an object. Modified Bsais test of dynamic balance. Purpose is to measure dynamic balance. The course is marked out as illustrated in the diagram. The subject begins by standing stationary on the right foot on the starting point square. The subject then hops to the first tape mark with the left foot and immediately holds a static position for 5 seconds. After this time, he then hops to the second tape mark with the right foot and holds a static position for another 5 seconds. This continues with alternate foot hopping and holding a static position for 5 seconds at each point until the course is completed. At each point, the sole of the foot must completely cover each tape mark so that it cannot be seen. Equipment: ruler approximately 30 centimeters long. First, have a friend hold the ruler at the top, line up your fingers with the bottom edge of second, have the friend drop the ruler at any time without any warning, and try and grab it between your fingers. Lastly, don't chase it, that's cheating. Stork balance stand test's purpose is to assess the ability to balance on the ball of the foot. The subject is given 1 minute to practice the balance. The subject raises the heel to balance on the ball of the foot. The stopwatch is started as the heel is raised from the floor. The stopwatch is stopped if any of the following occur: the hand come off the hips, the supporting foot swivels or moves hops in any direction, the non-supporting foot loses contact with the knee, the heel of the supporting foot touches the floor. 3-minute step test. Purpose: a step test provides a sub-maximal measure of cardiorespiratory or endurance fitness equipment required, 12-inch 30-centimeter step and stopwatch. Procedure: begin by demonstrating the alternating stepping cadence to the subject. In time with the beat: step 1 foot up on the bench first beat, step up with the second foot second beat, step down with 1 foot third beat, and step down with the other foot fourth beat. Allow the subject to practice the stepping to the metronome cadence, which is set at 96 beats per minute. 4 clicks equal 1 step cycle for a stepping rate of 24 steps per minute. The athlete steps up and down on the platform at the given rate for a total of 3 minutes. The athlete immediately stops on completion of the test and sits down and remains still. Starting within 5 seconds, the tester is to count the subject's heart rate, ideally with a stethoscope, for 1 complete minute. This test involves sitting on the floor with legs stretched out straight ahead. The soles of the feet are placed flat. Both knees should be locked and pressed flat to the floor. The tester may assist by holding them down, with the palms facing downwards, and the hands on top of each other or side by side. The subject reaches forward along the measuring line as far as possible. Ensure that the hands remain at the same level, not one reaching further forward than the other. After some practice the subject reaches out and holds that position for at 1-2 seconds while the distance is recorded. Alternate hand wall toss test purpose, to measure hand-eye coordination. Equipment required, tennis ball or baseball, smooth and solid wall, marking tape, stopwatch optional. A mark is placed a certain distance from the wall, for example 2 meters, 3 feet. The person stands behind the line and facing the wall. The ball is thrown from one hand in an underarm action against the wall, and attempted to be caught with the opposite hand. The ball is then thrown back against the wall and caught with the initial hand. The test can continue for a nominated number of attempts or for a set time period, for example 30 seconds. By adding the constraint of a set time period, you also add the factor of working under pressure. Sumo agility test purpose, to measure the general agility of the subject in maneuvering his body in forward, backward and sideward direction. A rectangular area of 12 x 19 feet with adequate running place around will be marked on the ground. The subject will be asked to stand on the starting point A with his back towards the point D. On the signal of command ready, go, the subject started side steps from A to B and passed from the outside of the corner cone B. She then backpedaled from B to D and passed from the inside of corner cone B. She will be then asked to sprint forward from D to A and then passed from outside of the corner cone A. She then backpedaled from A to C and passed from the inside of the corner cone C. She will be then asked to sprint forward from C to B and will be asked to pass from the outside of the corner cone B. Lastly, she will be asked to sidestep from B to the finish line A.